Hello to all of you from all of us here at Julian Campbell Foundation. And the purpose of this video, because I know that we've been away for several weeks now, it has to be 2 months since since the start of school, actually, like the autumn term. And so 2 months later, the purpose of this video really is to start talking about a book that I wrote, runs in the family. So I'll be speaking about that. And then also, as well, is the Familia, which is a Spanish version, which is available for order now. And the actual date that it starts selling is the 14th of December. So today we were going to speak with our psychologist, Dr. Jessie, and we've decided to take that further on Friday, and that one will be in Spanglish, and this one today is in English, just to let you know. So first of all, I just want to explain a little bit about the reason why I wrote this book, Runs in the Family, first of all. So by the time I wrote this book, the first book, which is 2017, I'd already been working with children and their families since 2010. So in those 7 years, we saw that there was a pattern, and a lot of parents were there's a lot of things that they were doing to try and support their child, that if they could have done this 10 years ago, could have avoided the problems in the teenage years. And I'll say a little bit more about that later. When I started writing the book, I wasn't clear on what it was I was going to write. So this is for a parent with a young child that really wants them to be emotionally strong, to have high levels of emotional intelligence, because the thing is that the best person for them to be learning from is their parent, who has also got high levels of emotional intelligence. So this is the reason for the book, that I saw that there was something that if our parents had more of when the young person was younger, that it could eliminate or avoid many of the problems that seem to start kind of like rising around the teenage years. So that was the purpose of the book. And this is the idea that it came from. So after working year after year after year with many children and young people, and to see that sometimes they can be really clever, if an adult isn't flat on something. When I say isn't flat, that young people can manipulate, they can expose something that's already there, for their own advantage, not necessarily even knowing what they're doing. So it's really important as adults that we are flat, that we have certain boundaries, that we have, we say a little bit more about that later, boundaries, integrity, and those qualities, and being responsible as well. So I just want to speak about the book and the chapters. So it has 10 chapters. And the first chapter just talks about here, like, what the problem is. And, I start with talking about my brother, Julian, and the mental health difficulties that he had, and how it all started in my journey of working and running a youth mental health charity. And and looking at the importance of having, being emotionally really strong, especially in today's fast-paced world. And then going on to emotional intelligence, what is the point of knowing how we feel? So before I started the charity, I was very driven to produce results, and I didn't really look at myself, how I was feeling. I couldn't really tell you how I was feeling. Actually, for me, it wasn't really important. I was results orientated. It was important that I strove for those results. And then I saw that it's really important for you to be in touch with how you're feeling. And if you're feeling a bit down, or if you're feeling low mood, for example, you're feeling a good mood, low energy or high energy, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is the choice that you have to be able to change where you are to another part if you want to. That's the most important thing, to be really, really in touch with yourself. And then, and it's important because we as adults, we want to sometimes hide things from the young people in our lives, like any stress or anxiety that we're going through. If we're going through a difficult situation, we hide it. If there's a failure, we hide it. And really, this is the time to share, because our young people, they're going to try and they're going to fail. And what's important is that they look at what was missing, the reason behind their failure, and take responsibility for that, and then go forward again. And then when we're not sharing with our young people our failures and what we're putting in place, then we're not helping them, we're not contributing to them. So it's really, really important. It's more important that they see us fail, because it's important that they learn from us how to overcome that difficulty and what we're putting in place. So if we fail something, we're feeling a little bit low, we can share that with the young person in our lives. But at the same time, putting things in place are we going to, if it's an exam or something like this, are we just going to leave it? Are we going to try again? Are we going to leave it for a time and then try again? All of these things is important to know, because the young people in our lives, they will learn from us, and they will learn how to overcome difficulties in the same way that we do. So, for example, if there's a difficult experience, it gives them resilience for them to see that it's not the end of the world if they don't achieve something the first time, but they can strive to overcome it. And then we start talking about mood and measuring mood and how to manage it and how to change it. So, and then in chapter 4, we start talking about the basics for peace and harmony. And it's really good. I mean, as a teacher, I learned, and as a teacher, it takes about 3 years for you to get to how you want to be. But like when I was a teacher, it took me about 3 years to understand that we go in and we talk about and we negotiate with the young people some basic rules, ground rules of the classroom, so we can ensure that teaching and learning is really at a premium. And I think, as when I was learning to become a teacher, quite often would go into the classroom when the teacher of the class had already set the boundaries, so we didn't get to see what they were doing. And then and because we didn't get to see what they were doing, I didn't put it in place myself. And then I saw that it's a really good thing to do, hello there, to set boundaries and do it as a group. So you and your children, it's really good for you to decide and choose together what are the boundaries. And and what I was doing as a teacher was keeping hands, feet and hands and feet to yourself, not to be talking over me or not to be talking over somebody else that's talking, and having that basic respect and following instructions the first time given, so it's not given again and again and again. And so it can be like 4 or 5 rules that are really important for you for a smooth running home, and you focus on that and you promote that. And so of course young people are going to try and bend and twist the rules, and you focus on those rules and say, look, this is what we said we were going to do, and this is what you promised, and do it like this. So but we find that when they have these rules, that there's more peace and harmony in there. And also as well, like, if they're not accepting or they don't follow a rule that you've decided, it's not necessarily their fault. And it's really important for us to take that responsibility and look at what we can do to change that. It isn't just this is our responsibility and this is their responsibility. It's all our responsibility. And what can we do with our young people to make sure that they grow up and they're resilient and they are developing themselves emotionally, and so they're healthy as well. So, and then in chapter 5, we start talking about physical health. Are we active enough? Because in actual fact, humans, adults, should I say, we need about 40 minutes of exercise a day. It doesn't need to be all at once. It doesn't have to be like anything violent. It can be 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And young people under 18 years old, they need an hour a day. And that doesn't have to be all at once either. But government guidelines say that an hour exercise a day, if a young person does that, or any person does their minimum for every day for up to 2 weeks, studies have shown that it dramatically removes or reduces depression, elevates mood. So it's really important to have that exercise, especially today when our young people and us as adults as well are just much more sedentary than before. And also eating. So that comes in chapter 6, looking at the foods that really help us, like lots of fish foods, lots of nuts with vitamins in, and foods that are not really that good for us, like refined sugar, anything that has refined sugar. I'm not saying that we should stop eating it, but it's a really good chapter for us to look and assess what it is that we're eating right now and look at how we can really limit it. Also ways to promote the good bacteria in our bodies. And so now we're coming to chapter 6. So by this time we have looked at we've looked at our health, we've looked at our mental health and well-being, we've got some rules that we're using in the home, things are more peaceful. We're looking at our food and even eating dinners, because families that eat together at least 4 times a week, the young people that grow up in those homes are less likely to turn to drinks, less likely to turn to drugs, because it helps when they come home from school and they have somebody to speak with and they can share in the dinner table, like everything, things that have happened to them during the day, things that they're confronted with. And it's just, it's not only the food itself, but it's having that camaraderie and having that environment, that family environment where they feel that they're supported, and that there's an environment where they can grow and develop themselves. And also as well, they do perform better in exams. So I'm looking at number 6. So we've got all of the 5 chapters looking at how we can put in more energy, doing a bit of exercise, healthy eating, being emotionally healthy, and which actions are we going to start, which action we're going to drop, unhealthy action, and which action are we going to take up and develop. And then chapter 7, once we've chosen what we're going to drop and take on, is really keeping our words and bringing some integrity into all of that and developing it, even further with other things that can really strengthen us, such as spiritual, like belief in God, and then finally any obstacles that might get in the way. So just because we might have a bad day, or we might not act with our child in a certain way, or we might shout at them, or we might not eat. But me eating very well will be a very good example. Like, all of us make mistakes. It's not anything bad. What's important is that we carry on going forward, that we carry on being a good testimony, or a good role model for our children. And because it's been very well received in English, now we've got it in Spanish, like Es de Familia, which is the same as Runs in the Family. It's actually a second edition because we've modified some things since the pandemic. So on Friday, we're going to talk more. So that's when our psychologist, Dr. Jessica Torres, will be coming in, and we'll be talking from 2 different perspectives, like why I wrote each chapter, and we'll be speaking with some readers that have read the book and what they can contribute as well. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for, and please put any comments there that we can, if you have any requests for any other videos, you got any questions that you want us to answer on Friday, then it will be with great pleasure. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll be telling you more in the link description as well, where you can get these books. And I really look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Bye.